Avast, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hard 100, the video series documenting the culling of my collection from what it is to what it's going to be, and that is a Hard 100 games. I do enjoy a good co-op, a good cooperative game. A lot of the co-ops these days are some version of the Pandemic. There is the Pandemic, there's the Pandemic Reign of Cthulhu that we played. We've already talked about how many pandemics there are, but there's also games like Flashpoint Fire Rescue, which is just Pandemic in a house on fire. The idea of a co-op is wonderful. Sometimes I feel that the co-op has kind of run its course, and then I come across a game that reinforces that. Ladies and gentlemen, get your yo-hos ready, cause Dead Men Tell No Tales. Dead Men Tell No Tales by Kane Klenko and Minion Games is a cooperative game where you and or a handful of players try to go on the Skellig and get all them beautiful treasures before the ship go boom. What this game has you doing is in a standard co-op fashion using all of your various abilities and actions to go on the ship, mitigate a whole bunch of shit that's going to be thrown your way, and try to get out alive. Now, the good thing about co-ops is that you are really working together. This game has you working together in actually a really good way. Imagine you're playing Pandemic, or screw that, I guess we'll stop talking about Pandemic. Imagine you're playing this game. Actually, no, screw that too. You're not going to be playing this game. Pretend you're playing Pandemic. And let's say you have 4 actions on your turn, but you only want to spend 2 of them. Now, you can give those other 2 actions to the next player to help boost them. And it's a really cool little cooperative thing that you get to do in this game. So every person gets 5 actions, unless you're a specific character, in which you get 6. And you are allowed to spend any number of actions and then pass the ones you didn't spend on to the next player. They have to spend those. They can't hoard them or give them on, pass them forward. They have to use them, so you'll pretty much use them first. So it sets up a lot of very powerful turns if you were trying to get someone from point A to point B. Point A is your dinghy. It's the ship that everyone starts on. Point B is the treasure. Throughout the game, there are going to be various pirates on this undead ship that you are trying to kill. And once you kill that pirate by rolling a die and doing a modifier, you get a treasure, and then you can take that treasure and GTF out of this ship. Now, a lot of co-ops are very, very good with the way that the game fights back. This game fights back with a simple deck of cards. On the board, or on all the tiles, screw that. Turns are very, very simple. On your turn, you're going to see a stack of tiles. You're going to pick up a tile. You're going to look at that tile. You're going to put that tile on the board following tile putting guidelines, which is just you got to line up the doors. And then you're going to put a die on the pip, corresponding with the die and the pip on the tile, and that is the fire level. Now, the yellow and the red are only there for balancing with the deck of cards to try to spread things out. They don't actually mean anything differently. Then on that newly drawn tile, you're going to pull something out of a bag, you're going to put it on. It's either going to be some kind of a treasure, a trapdoor that spawns a deckhand, which are super easy, little basically the cubes to get rid of, and there are also going to be skeleton crew that can move and all kinds of other fun things. Or you're going to get the guards that are guarding the treasure that you have to get, and depending on the difficulty you play will depend on how many treasures you need to get off of the ship. So easy is 4, then 5, and then 6. If you have more players, it's going to be more. So once you have placed your tile, you have access to all of your actions. You can walk, you can run, you can eliminate a deckhand, you can spend most of your time lowering the fire level in your room, which is basically turning a pip from a 3 to a 2. Why do you want to do this? Because if a fire ever gets to 6, it causes an explosion, which shoots out all the doors and chains react. And if you've ever played Flashpoint or anything, it's an outbreak or boom, 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 and it gets bigger. And that could chain react, and whenever a room explodes that way, you actually flip it and that room is inaccessible. It also allows you to pick up various items that are in the game, but whenever you actually fight anything, like a battle, you just drop what you're carrying and you automatically fight. It's not actually an action. So in a really cool way, you can actually go in, try to fight something. If you lose, you can move further because you're going to be able to choose if you flee, and it's whatever. And then the way the game fights back, as I mentioned, you just flip a deck of cards, and then it's either going to spawn a token or do a thing or move something, and some of the rooms are going to get bigger. On some of the tiles, there's also a powder keg, which means it could explode before the 6, and that's how it is. Let's do some housekeeping. 2 to 5 players. There are a whole bunch of different roles in here. I played this with 2-player and I attempted it solo. We lost, but we lost the turn before we were gonna win, and we had already actually won. The way I did it was there's passing, winning, and super winning. Passing is the easy, winning is the normal, and super winning is the hard mode. So I basically just want to see how many treasures we get. I didn't want to stop. So we passed. Didn't win though, didn't win. 60 to 75 minutes. We're gonna come back to that in a moment. And then ages 13 and up. It's fine. There's some spooky whatever. If you can watch Pirates of the Caribbean, then it's basically the same thing, Undead Pirates and all. Let's talk about that playtime. A lot of games get thrown under the bus by being fiddly. I don't really know how to describe what fiddly means. Here, fiddly means micromanaging. You have to trigger all of the dice that sometimes move, and putting the dice and then a token, then a bat. It's just a whole bunch of stuff. I understand the idea of building the pirate ship as you go along and that being kind of cool, so it's never the same game twice. But whenever you have all the tiles down on the board and you're looking at them, it does not look like a ship. It doesn't look like anything. It's just a bunch of fire and numbers. I don't know why they couldn't have gone with a better, clearer graphic design like Pandemic or Flashpoint or a lot of other co-op games that use a stale board and then have you move around it and add variety elsewhere. The things that you do, the various actions are fine. The thing that drags this game down, ironically enough, is something called fatigue. The way that your character can die is everyone's going to have a dial, and that dial is going to have a whole bunch of numbers, and if you ever enter a room that has higher fire than the fire you came from, you adjust the fatigue based on the difference. And if you're ever carrying loot to get out of the ship, you adjust it based on whatever the room is in. If you get all the way to the top, you die, and depending on how high it gets, it may eliminate you from going into certain rooms. Fiddly. Whenever the ship fights back and you have to flip a card and the pip is there, you have to search for all the pips, but you have to go in order. Bottom left, up, 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 that way, so that way the chain reactions work the right way. Fiddly. On your turn, you have a brand new tile and you put it on there and you look at it and you're like, okay, and then halfway through your turn you realize you didn't put the token on top because you forgot the token, and fiddly. Then when there's a chain reaction, turn it to 6, make sure it goes out the right way, keeping track of all the ones you've done, and then exploding, and then flipping tiles, and just the chain, all of it, fiddly. All of this stuff I feel like would be ideal in an app that does all that for you. Being able to move and run, well, you would run, but you would get your fatigue plus 2. The fatigue thing is, I hate the fatigue thing. This game as a co-op game, it never felt tense. I was just like, come on, come on, come on, because you lose any number of ways in typical co-op fashion. If there's enough booms, there's a little boom marker at the bottom of the thing, and if it goes all the way up, you die. Or if you can never add a deckhand, you get overrun and you die. If you run out of pirates because everyone's died, then you die. The game is unexciting. The entire time I was playing it, I was just like, all right, when's it start? When's it start? When's it start? And then an hour later, I was like, okay, when did it start? It never felt like it started. The theme is basically lost in just this mess of tiles on the table that, this cover though, beautiful. But when you look at the board on the back, look, come here. What is going on here? They also lead you to believe that these 4 tiles are connected like one big tile, and it's not, it's individual tiles. Just individual tiles, the way that it's all on the board, it's just a whole bunch of fiddly. And then one of the things you can do is actually boost your combat strength, and after you get in a fight, it goes down. Fiddly. All of the different pirates have different powers. They're just pandemic versions. It's not, man, it is a pretty box. But ladies and gentlemen, Dead Men Tell No Tales, more like Billy No Play Boring Game. Out of the Hard 100. I'm not sad to see this go. It felt like a goddamn lifetime to play this game. And, it's a weird shaped box. This has no place in my collection. So this is gone. I am not sad to see it go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on this, the latest edition of the Hard 100. That is a really bad egg. Drink up me hearties, yo-ho. I need a better pirate game, and that is not it. The explosions, and it's just too busy and fiddly, and God, do I not care. Ugh. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on the Hard 100. I hope you and yours are well. Peace out.